Hello and welcome, I'm Oles Garjuk and you're watching Head to Head with UATV. Ukraine's security service has put Volodymyr Tsemakh on the international wanted list. He is a suspect and witness of the investigation into the downing of MH17 flight over occupied Donbas in 2014. This all happens despite the fact that Tsemakh was handed over to Russia as part of the mass prisoner exchange in early September this year. To talk more about this, we're joined in the studio today by Zakhar Tropin, Associate Professor at the Department of International Law at Shevchenko National University. Hello and thank you for joining us today.
Hello.
So, on September 7th, as part of this prisoner swap in the format of 35 to 35, Ukraine gave Tsemakh away to Russia, as I mentioned in the introduction. How is this possible that now Ukraine puts him on a wanted list, and why?
Officially, Ukrainian authorities stated that he is in wanted list now because Ukrainian respective authorities do not know where he is, and he is not within the investigation of Ukraine for making any witnesses, or to give any witnesses, or to participate in procedural acts. To my mind, this is a formal requirement because criminal case was not closed in Ukraine. And the matter is that we don't know exact agreements between Russian Federation and Ukraine in this process of exchange of prisoners of war. Respectively, maybe in this exchange process, there was some agreements concerning the status of these persons on the territory of other state.
So what you mean is that there was a condition under which Tsemakh was exchanged.
We don't know about.
And yes, and transferred to Russia, but we know that he was transferred to Russia, taking part in this prisoner swap. But it is not necessary that there was a demand to close down this criminal proceedings against him. We have a soundbite from Olena Hitlenska, Press Secretary of Security Service of Ukraine. Let's listen.
Yeah, okay.
The criminal case in which Volodymyr Tsemakh is a suspect has not been closed. It is still being investigated due to the fact that the whereabouts of Tsemakh are unknown and the fact that he failed to appear on inspector's request on September 23rd. A decision was made to place him on the wanted list.
So my question is, can security services officials, or are they authorized by Ukrainian legislation to demand a person to appear for the request of the investigator if the person was exchanged, and we all know that the person is not formally in the country?
The matter is that those facts, they are not connected. We have criminal case opened by Security Service of Ukraine, and we have exchange process. And status or factual situation of person is not connected with procedural act of existence of criminal case. When Ukraine transferred these 35 persons, and for instance, one of them was Tsemakh, criminal case was not closed. It was open and it was still active within the territory of Ukraine. And now it is just a procedural act in accordance with the legislation of Ukraine.
Well, let's talk about the future development of this case. On September 7th, there was an exchange that Tsemakh was transferred to Russia. On the same day, the Netherlands, this is a short preview for our audience, the Netherlands prosecutor asked the Russian Federation to extradite Tsemakh, and we all know that Russia denied this. And then on September 11th, the Netherlands reclassified Tsemakh from a key witness in this case to a suspect. Why this fact hasn't changed the position of the Russian Federation? There's reclassification from key witness to a suspect.
I understand. The matter is that this reclassification stronged position of Netherlands. It means that in this situation, it was 100% right of Netherlands to claim from Russian Federation to transfer Tsemakh to Netherlands, not as witness, but as suspected person. Because, for example, in case of witness, there was a possible answer of Russian Federation. Okay, he is witness. You can come here to the
and interrogate him on the territory of Russian Federation,
and make an interrogation on the territory of Russian Federation. But as suspected person, there is 100% right of Netherlands to claim for transfer of Tsemakh to the territory of Netherlands.
But then, according to the international norms, Russia would be obliged to extradite Tsemakh.
Yes.
Why then Russia basically falls short again on this?
To my mind, that's why Russian Federation make all possible actions for Tsemakh to be on the territory of separate parts of Donetsk and Lugansk regions, but not on the territory of Russian Federation. Why? Because in this situation, Russian Federation, as you correctly stated, is obliged to extradite Tsemakh to Netherlands in accordance to the international treaties. Why? Because Tsemakh is the citizen of Ukraine. He is within the territory of Russian Federation, and there is no obstacles, legal obstacles for Russia not to extradite him to the Netherlands. But now there is a simple answer of Russian Federation that he is not within the territory of Russian Federation, and we don't know where
But at the same time, why would they keep Tsemakh if he was already interrogated by the joint investigation team? Because, as we all know, Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukraine's president, and the head of the SBU, Ivan Bakhanov, they stated before this prisoner swap on September 7th that Tsemakh was interrogated already by this joint investigation team that included the Dutch investigators also. And then why would there be any reason to hide Tsemakh so much?
The matter is that, first of all, we don't know the scope of the information received from Tsemakh. Maybe joint investigation team has additional questions to Tsemakh. Maybe on the basis of the information received from Tsemakh, they made some additional investigation and have some new questions to Tsemakh.
Is it possible that Russians could work a little bit on Tsemakh and on his, well, so to say, trumped up maybe evidence in the future?
Everything is possible. Everything is possible, and that's a serious threat in this situation. Especially, as you correctly stated, taking into account that Tsemakh previously gave some information and he was interrogated by a joint investigation team. And in this situation, if there will be any further contradictions between further statements of Tsemakh or further interrogations or interviews of Tsemakh, it may make some questions toward all information received from Tsemakh.
Yes, if there is more information leaked, then the threat to Russia is bigger as well in this case. According to Dutch MP Katy Piri, Russia's demand to release Volodymyr Tsemakh indicates that Moscow admits its guilt in the crash of flight MH17. What is your take on this?
How to say, not 100% agree, because there is no direct connection. However, taking into account the information which was released further, especially by joint investigation team, and taking into account the whole scope of information and whole scope of actions of Russian Federation in this case, there is at least serious questions concerning the involvement of Russian Federation in the MH17 case, especially taking into account the direct accusations and direct information presented by joint investigation team on the transference of book from the Kursk region to the separate parts of Donetsk and Lugansk region. direct accusations or even charges to the citizens of Russian Federation, which were which hold serious posts within the Donetsk and Lugansk republics, so-called republics. So, and I think that taking into account this whole information and actions of Russian Federation, because, for example, the prosecutor's office of Netherlands directly stated that Russian Federation, how to say, in direct manner, helped to Tsemakh not to be on the territory of Russian Federation.
Right, because probably it followed its own interests.
Yes.
And also we have to remember that recently there was a video published online where Tsemakh allegedly tells how he was hiding this book missile system due to which they shut down the MH17. Well, on September 12th, the terrorist's daughter, Maria Shevchenko announced that her father, Volodymyr Tsemakh, had returned from Russia to the occupied territory of Donbas. But after all, wasn't this obvious for Ukraine that Tsemakh would return to the DPR?
I don't think whether it was obvious, because in this situation, everything, to my mind, depends on the actions of Russian Federation. So he was transferred to Russian Federation, and respectively, on this situation, everything depends on Russian Federation. And there was, so it was up to Russian Federation to extradite him to Netherlands, to leave him on the territory of Russian Federation in any status, or to give him possibility to return to the separate parts of Donetsk and Lugansk region.
Well, I remember that when prosecutor's office demanded to keep him in custody because the prosecutor was afraid that Tsemakh would hide away, as actually happened, experts were voicing two opinions: that Tsemakh might be killed if transferred to Russia, or might be transferred to DPR, which probably happened, but we don't know because there was no evidence that he is alive still. But after all, on the 7th of November, his lawyer voiced Tsemakh's intentions or readiness to talk to the investigators from Ukraine and also from the Netherlands. Do you think that such an interrogation is likely to happen on the temporarily occupied territory? And would it be legitimate?
First of all, there is a serious political and legal question concerning the possibility of such interrogation, because in this situation, legally he is on the territory of Ukraine. Respectively, all actions are to be made through the Ukrainian authorities. And there is these territories are not under the control of Ukrainian authorities. So legally, there is a big question how to proceed with this issue, and also it is political question. Because Ukraine can't or Netherlands can't ask separate representatives of separate parts of Donetsk and Lugansk
separatist authorities to give issue permission to visit this territory. Well, let's see how this case is going to develop when the court hearings will start on March 9th, 2020. So far, I thank you for for your clarifications, and thank you for being a guest today in the studio.
You're welcome.
This was Zakhar Tropin, Associate Professor at the Department of International Law at Shevchenko National University. Thank you for watching Head to Head, and stay tuned for more with UATV.